Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. I have some very exciting book mail. I felt like the universe was smiling upon me when I found this book on Pango for $10. Let's talk about all of the books that I need to read in November. Hello friends, welcome back to my channel. My name is Tori if you're new. Welcome to a monthly reset vlog for November. I can't believe that we're in the last 2 months of the year. Today's gonna be a really fun day. I know normally I do a lot of cleaning in these vlogs, but I actually don't have a lot of cleaning to do today. So I think on the agenda, we're getting our nails done today. I need to set up my November TBR, and we are gonna talk about my November TBR in this video. We need to redo our Notion a little bit. I need to update my bullet journal and make a November spread. I'm currently listening to an audiobook, and so usually in these vlogs where I'm being very productive and just like running around doing different things, I love to have an audiobook that I'm listening to. So I'm currently listening to Such Sharp Teeth by Rachel Harrison. I'm 35% of the way in, so I will give a reading update shortly because I'm going to take Jameson for his morning walk. We're gonna go for our walk and I'm gonna listen to a little bit more of it, so when we come back I'll give a reading update, but I hope that you're excited. If you are, please be sure to give this video a big thumbs up, subscribe to my channel, and let's reset for November. Lately, I've been really struggling with picking out outfits. It's not a strength of mine, so what I've been doing is recreating looks that I find on Pinterest, or like trying to, whenever I feel like I wanna look cute for the day. So I think that the outfit inspo for today, I've been super into like the Scandinavian kind of just like comfy layered look. The only thing is, I'm not gonna do this with the trench coat because it is California and it's not too hot today, which is actually so nice. So I feel like the t-shirt, the little black skirt, the loafers, the socks will be a really cute vibe. Yeah, there's the fit. Instead of the trench coat, I do have this like slouchy, same color sweater. So I ended up switching it up because I wanted to be comfy for my nail appointment, and it's actually colder outside than I thought, so I can wear a sweater today and it makes me so happy. So this is the updated fit. Okay, we're getting some work done and I'm listening to Such Sharp Teeth. I'm almost at the halfway point. I'm 47% through the book. I really enjoy Rachel Harrison. The only other book I've read by her is Cackle, but she writes, it feels like contemporary fiction, but put like a supernatural twist on it. And Such Sharp Teeth, maybe even more so than Cackle, just feels almost like a campy horror in a way, because there are some scenes that are very grotesque with how gory they are, but the character relationships are so real and raw. There are some trigger warnings for this book. There is a SA trigger warning. I don't know that there's trigger warnings in the beginning of the book because I'm listening to the audio, but it's fairly intense, so just putting that out there. But the relationship that Rory has with her twin sister is very emotional, and then also because of this SA situation experience that happened to our main character Rory, she has a very complicated relationship with her mother as well. And so getting all of that, but then at the same time Rory is like turning into a werewolf. And so it's just so odd. I'm really enjoying it. It's not anything that I thought it would be. It's better. The true synopsis of this book, because what I just said was probably nonsensical. Our main character is Rory Morris. She is not thrilled to be moving back to her hometown, but at the request of her twin sister, she does, because her twin sister has fallen pregnant. She is estranged from the baby's father and she needs a lot of help because she's not the most excited to be pregnant. After a night out at the bar, Rory runs over this animal in the street, and when she gets out to investigate, she is attacked by what she thinks is a bear, but then very weird things start happening to her. She survives miraculously, but life begins to look and feel different. She's unnaturally strong with an aversion to silver, and suddenly the moon has her in its thrall. She's changing into someone else, something else, maybe even a monster. But does that mean she's putting those close to her in danger? Or is embracing the wildness inside of her the key to acceptance? This darkly comedic love story is a brilliantly layered portrait of trauma, rage, and vulnerability. That is the best synopsis that I could have ever read for this book, and I would have never been able to so eloquently put that into words. I have some very exciting book mail. I felt like the universe was smiling upon me when I found this book on Pango for $10. It's a new release. They packaged it so nicely. Nothing was gonna damage this book. Oh my goodness. Gorgina! The Hurricane Wars by Thea Guanzin. When I read the synopsis for this book, it sounded like tea. This map? I was not expecting this map to go as hard as it is, but look at this on the side and on the other side too. Oh, that is so gorgeous. This book is about the fates of two bitter enemies with opposing magical abilities. It's a spellbinding debut in fantasy romance. It's going to be a trilogy set in Southeast Asia. It's a world ravaged by storms, perfect for fans of Sarah J. Maas and R.F. Kuang. I feel like all fantasy romance books nowadays get compared to Sarah J. Maas because like everyone loves Sarah J. Maas, but Sarah J. Maas and R.F. Kuang are very different. So I don't know how I feel about that. Taliesin is our main character. She's grown up an orphan in a nation under siege by the ruthless Night Emperor. She found her family amongst soldiers who fight for freedom, but Taliesin is hiding a deadly secret. Light magic courses through her veins, a blazing power that can cut through the Night Empire's shadows, believed to have been wiped out years ago. This sounds like Heir Awakens. Prince Alaric, the Emperor's only son and heir, has been tasked with obliterating any threats to the Night Empire's rule with the strength of his armies and his mighty shadow magic. So we have potentially a shadow daddy. We are back. We got our nails done. I'm actually obsessed with them. I found that with chrome nails, they tend to fade over like a couple days. So they're gonna not be as chromy over the next couple days, but they're so cute and they're so fall-y. I'm actually obsessed with them. So a lot of what I updated for October, I'm actually just gonna keep because it's very fall and I like the vibes of my Notion right now. But the main thing that we're doing is updating my TBR because clicking off these little boxes really gives me the serotonin and the dopamine that I need in my life. So most of this update is just updating my TBR. And then I do have a library page I need to update because I've recently hauled a lot of books and I need to kind of organize when I do a book haul, like what books I need to talk to y'all about that I haven't mentioned quite yet. So I very briefly update my physical TBR/library page. And then we're just adding a cute quote for November, which I thought was really sweet and I found on Pinterest. And then we're pretty much done. I am absolutely delusional with my November TBR, but let's talk about all of the books that I need to read in November. And these aren't even all of them. I have some that I don't have quite yet because they're pre-orders of like new release books. And I have a couple Kindle books that I'm going to be reading that I've meant to read for literally the entire year. Okay, first up, I need to do a reread of Ninth House because I read this, I want to say in like 2021. Main character, special guest Jameson, joining us for this. I want to reread this before I read Hellbent. I don't have Hellbent on my November TBR I might do it in December, but it's been so long since I've read this and so much happens in this book that I'm like, I definitely need a refresh of what happened, which is great because my first read of this was a 5-star, so I'm very excited to reread it. And I am almost done with my read through of the Witcher series. I only have 2 books left, this being one of them, and I've been reading along with the audiobooks. So basically whenever the audiobooks become available on Libby, that's when I pick up my next book. However, I did have to delay The Tower of the Swallow, which is the weirdest title for this book, but anyways. But I had too much going on, too much vampire fantasy romance that I needed to read in October. I said, let's push this to November. But my goal is to finish this series in 2023. I've been doing such a good job with that goal. I'm trying to stay on track. This is this is the longest Witcher book so far in the series. I think the last book is actually a little bit longer. I'm just looking at my bookshelves behind you. The audios have been fantastic. It is one narrator, but the voices that he does for all of the characters is so wonderful. So, Tower of the Swallow. Next up is a book I think I'm really going to love. When it first came out, I was like, I know that I need to read that, and it seemed like a very fall/winter fantastic fantasy. So that is God Killer by Hannah Kaner. Gods are forbidden in the kingdom of Midrin. Formed by human desires and fed by their worship, there are countless gods in the world. But after a great war, the new king outlawed them and now pays God Killers to destroy any who try to rise from the shadows. As a child, Kissin saw her family murdered by a fire god, and now she makes a living killing them and enjoys it. But all this changes when Kissin is tasked with helping a young noble girl with a god problem. The child's soul is bonded to a tiny god of white lies, and Kissin can't kill it without ending the girl's life too. Tell me that doesn't sound like a really good late fall, winter fantasy. Next up is our book club pick for the Who Did This To You book club. That is the book club that I host on Fable. It's always linked in the description box below if you would like to join us. We, when I'm filming this, just voted, and Blood and Steel won by Helen Scher. This is the first book in the Legends of Thesmar series. I read Slaying the Shadow Prince by Helen. I read that in August or September, I don't remember, but either way, I fell in love with her writing style, the way that she writes fantasy romance. And the reason I'm bringing that up is because Slaying the Shadow Prince takes place in this world. It's just like a standalone that takes place in the same world. It made me want to devour Blood and Steel, and her second book in the series just came out as well, so if I feel so compelled, I will be able to jump right into the second book in the series. Then I haven't been able to get to this yet, but it is absolutely in the plans for November if I don't get to it at some point this week in the end of October. Two Twisted Crowns by Rachel Gillig. One Dark Window has been one of my absolute favorite books of the year so far, and I pre-ordered this. Don't know why I did that because I still haven't read it yet, but I've heard really, really good things. I'm so excited to dive back into this world. This is a duology, so this is the finale book, and I don't know if my heart is ready for that, but I can't wait to read this. Also, another really good book series for like late fall/winter. Then we have Ashes in the Star-Cursed King by Carissa Broadbent. I have been honestly marathoning this series, which I never typically do, but that is just the mood that I've been in lately. So I recently read Serpent, gave it 4 stars. It wasn't my favorite, but I'm so hopeful that some of the characters that we've met in her standalones in the Crowns of Nyaxia series, like the characters that we met in 6 Scorched Roses, I heard that they make an appearance in this book, and I cannot stinking wait to see them again. I'm also excited to see Rain, but Araya is just like not my fave girly, but this is on the docket for November because it has to happen. And I'm so excited for her to release. So this series is going to be 3 duologies. So Serpent and the Wings of Night, Ashes and the Star-Cursed King is the first duet. I'm so excited for the next duet in this series because I love the vampire world that she created in this, but I can't wait to see like her next couple in this world in this series. I think it's gonna be so much fun. November is the month of new releases apparently. So I have the Hurricane Wars by Thea Guanzin. I read this synopsis to y'all a little bit earlier in this video when we unboxed it together, so I will not hit you with the synopsis again. You already know what it's about. November. And then the last physical book that I have for now that I plan to read next month is Warbreaker by Brandon Sanderson. This is another one that I've been waiting for the audiobook to become available for before I dig into it, and I've actually had to delay my audiobook hold because it came in October and I was like, I'm too busy for this right now. But this is on one of my lists for books that I need to read in 2023. So we're squeezing it in right at the end of the year, and this is gonna be my first Brandon Sanderson book. Okay, and then let's talk about a couple books that I don't have yet that are new releases that I'm literally going to scream, cry, and throw up when I actually have them in my hands. The first being Curse of True Love by Stephanie Garber. I am supposed to get my copy on Saturday. I can't sink and wait. I've seen so many people's updates about reading it, having it. It makes me so jealous. I cannot wait to get my hands on this book, but I'm also so devastated because that means this trilogy is going to be completed and I need something else. Like, I need a future project from Stephanie Garber because she's one of my absolute favorite authors of all time. I love her so much. And then the other new release, I don't think this is surprising to anybody, but Iron Flame by Rebecca Yarros. I will be reading that absolutely immediately. As soon as my little grubby paws get my hands on it, we're dropping everything and we're reading that book. And then the last couple, oh my gosh, last couple I say, it's like 4 more books. The last couple books that I have, so if you've been watching my last couple vlogs, I have been so obsessed with the Shadows and Crowns series by S.M. Gaither, and so I'm planning to read the next 2 books in that series in November. I've just been flying through them. Like, I can read these books in a matter of 2 to 3 days because I'm just that gripped with the series, and so I'm like, I'll do 2 books in November and then I'll have the last book in that series to read in December. So the next book, the 3rd book in the series, is called The Call of the Void, and the 4th book is called A Crown of the Gods. Then we have a carryover book. I was supposed to read this book in either August or September and I just still haven't gotten to it, and that is Emily Wilde's Encyclopedia of Fairies. This is supposed to be just the most gorgeous, whimsical, slower paced fantasy with a little bit of romance mixed in. I love fairy fantasies. I always will. They just have my whole entire heart. So I've been meaning to get to this one. We're gonna read it in November. It's short as well. It's just a matter of prioritizing reading it. And then my last book on my November TBR, the 13th book on my November TBR, is Mortal Blade, and I believe this is by Christopher Mitchell. It's a fantasy series. It's on Kindle Unlimited. It has dragons in it. It has 2 begrudging allies. It's a multi-POV story. It just sounds like it's absolutely right up my alley. I can't wait to read it. So we're throwing it in November and it's gonna be great. Typically, I like to leave a little bit of wiggle room for myself to mood read if I so feel the need, but I really don't think that I'm gonna have any time to mood read in November. But that's okay because I'm so excited for all of these. Like, actually cannot wait to read all of them. And TBRs have been working for me lately. I don't know about y'all, but sometimes I go through periods where I'm like, I could not follow a TBR to save my stinking life, and then other times I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm so excited for my TBR, and I am the latter right now, which is wonderful. Hello, it is the next day. Usually I do these in one day, but I wanted to extend it because today I have like some cleaning, some laundry to do. My dad is coming to stay with us tomorrow, so I just want to wash the extra bedding for him as well and make sure the house is all clean and ready to go. Let's do that today, and I wanted to give a reading update on Such Sharp Teeth because I just finished it. I think I'm gonna give that book 5 stars. It was not what I was expecting. The character depth, the dynamics, I know I probably don't have anything new to say and it's a lot of repeating what I've already said, but I loved it so much. And then the romance that kind of floats in and out of the story, like the romance definitely isn't the main point of the story, but it's there in the background and it's adding another level to certain situations. It was so good. I was very thoroughly impressed by Rachel Harrison. I definitely want to continue reading more from her because I feel like, especially her newer books that are being published, they just keep getting better and better and better. So Very excited for that. Was not expecting that to be 5-star, but here we are. Now, I have to figure out another audiobook to listen to because, as you know, when I'm doing tasks and things around the house, I love to have an audiobook to listen to. I do have The Forest Grimm by Catherine Purdy. This is a book I've had my eye on for a little while. I think it just got released somewhat recently. It caught my attention. It is a dark fairy tale type book. Once upon a time, villagers would whisper their desires to the Book of Fortunes, and its pages would reveal how to obtain them. All was well until someone used the book for evil. Afterwards, the branches of the Forest Grimm snatched the book away and the village withered. The villagers tried to make amends with the forest, but every time someone crossed its border, they never returned. Despite the warning from her fortune teller grandmother Clara embarks on the journey into the deadly forest to procure the Book of Fortunes to reverse the curse and save her mother and village. Claire's friend Axel puts aside his longing for her to join the journey. The young travelers have set their minds to defying fate and daring to accomplish what no one else has been able to. Alas, the forest, alive with dark, deadly twists on some of our most well-known fairy tales, has a mind of its own, a dark and sparkling tale of romance, courage, and magic, perfect for fans of Holly Black, Leigh Bardugo, and Hannah Kaner. I love like sentient forests, even though it's not necessarily sentient, but it's quite alive in how it's interacting with our characters. So I might start that today and we'll just see how far I get with it. I am not planning on finishing that book today by any means. Let's be productive and clean some things.
You were burning like a summer in my heart till you found another northern star, following a lover right out of my ocean. And I was broken, but you know what they say, time's got a good way of healing. I'm back on my feet and I'm happier than ever, like I never thought forever was you. My skies are blue, dancing kind of weather, back together like I wasn't into. Thought I was doomed, but I moved through the heartache mood. I don't care what you do. I'm happier than ever, so much better without you. Without you, without you. Happier without you. Picking up the pieces of a dream, every little thing I thought we'd be, learning how to let go of all the ways you burned me. And I was hurting, but you know what they say, time's got a good way of healing. I'm back to feeling I'm happier than ever, like I never thought forever was you. My skies are blue, dancing kind of weather, back together like I wasn't into. Thought I was doomed, but I moved through the heartache mood. I don't care what you do. I'm happier than ever, so much better without you. Without you, without you. Happier without you. Without you, without you. Happier without you. I know what they say, time's got a good way of going right through the motions. I'm happier than ever, like I never thought forever was you. My skies are blue, dancing kind of weather, back together like I wasn't into. Thought I was doomed, but I moved through the heartache mood. I don't care what you do. I'm happier than ever, so much better without you. Without you, without you. Happier without you. Without you, without you.
Okay, I wanted to do a little bit of a bullet journal update. I've obviously switched my spreads and the way that I'm using my bullet journal a little bit compared to how I have been for most of the year. I switched to a much more condensed bullet journal spread for each month, which I really like. I like to have my TBR in here, but since I started using Notion, I kind of put my TBR in there instead, so my November spread looks a little bit different, and I'll talk through it. On my reading wrap up, I did put 14 books that I've read in October, 3 of which were physical, 4 audios, and 9 ebooks. But if you do the math, you're probably like, Tori, do you know how to do math? It's just that with my audiobooks, I'm typically reading along with an audiobook. So for a couple of my physical books, I also had the audio, and I like to do an immersive reading experience, but I'm gonna count it as both, right? Like I had the audiobook and the physical book, so I count books twice basically. I'll only count it once towards my total books. So hopefully that makes sense. But October, I read 5,613 pages. I want to, for November, I'm gonna do a little bit different graphs than what I did here. I'm also pretty proud. I read most of my October TBR. The ones that I didn't get to were Heart of Dracula, Black Sunshine, The Unmarked Witch, Blood and Steel, which I am going to be reading in November. I'm kind of glad that I saved that one for the Who Did This To You book club, because I just want to scream about it with everybody. Empire of Storms I didn't get to, and then Emily Wilde, but I have Emily Wilde on my November TBR. I switched up my November spread a little bit because I have 2 like pie charts that I'm gonna do. I sketched them in pencil because I'm gonna use my colors that I picked out instead of doing the black outline like I did here. I'm just gonna use the colors. I'm sorry if you can hear a helicopter, by the way. But I wanted to do format because I still do like to track what format I'm reading books in, but instead of doing the little boxes, I made it its own pie chart. And then I want to track how many books I read that are on my TBR versus not on my TBR. I'm very curious to see that statistic, that differentiation between the two. So I did that. I have a little list for my favorite books that I read in November, and then I also have a genre, and this one I'm just going to do a little bar graph, so that's why I left all of this empty space here, because it's going to be a little bar graph right across. I love bullet journaling so much, but where I switched a lot of this to Notion, I was like, okay, we need to continue to use our bullet journal because it's just such a calming, fun hobby that I love to do. And I was listening to The Forest Grimm while I was bullet journaling, so this is the setup. I'm excited to show y'all. I usually post the finished spreads on my Instagram, so if you want to follow me on Instagram. But that is going to be it, my friends, for this video. I hope that you liked resetting for the month with me. Hopefully it made you feel productive in all of the best ways. I will catch you in the comments, and I will see you in my next one. Bye!